good morning. Good morning to everyone. Let's give some couple of minutes for people to finish entering the room. So good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you to another Europarks webinar, Green Tourism Make It Real, that we are organizing in the framework of the EU Green Week that this year puts the spotlight on the Green Deal, Make It Real. We have a twofold aim for today. On the one hand, we want to highlight the role of the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism in Protected Areas, which is a management tool that we have been running successfully for already 20 years in helping protected areas to become sustainable destinations. We want to highlight the role in helping them to make the Green Deal real. And for that, we will also hear from the field, from a protected area, what needs to be updated in the tourism strategies and plans in order to tackle the new challenges ahead, but basically those related with visitor management in order to preserve the EU natural capital, but also challenges linked with zero net carbon emissions, and also challenges about sustainable mobility, both inside the protected area and outside the protected area. If the European Union is to be the first neutral climate continent by 2050, as it is claimed in the EU Green Deal. So my name is Teresa Pastor, and I'm the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism Manager. And before introducing my organization and the speakers today, I just want to inform you of some basic housekeeping rules in order to have the workshop perform correctly. So be aware that this webinar is being recorded. So if you are not feeling comfortable with that, if you don't want to appear, please switch off your camera. Of course, we would like to know, to get to know you. Please, just if you haven't done it yet, please put your name and the organization where you come from by just renaming it. You need to go to the participant list and click with the right button to change it. And please, do you use the chat to make a comment, post questions to our speakers? We will try to answer them as much as possible, as much as the time allows for it. This webinar is set to last 1 hour. So for those who don't know us yet, the Europark Federation is the oldest and largest network of European protected areas. We count around 400 members issued from 40 European countries, which represent national parks, regional and nature parks, marine protected areas, and urban parks. So our role is to support protected areas manager and staff in their daily work. And for that, we facilitate networking by organizing conferences, seminars and workshops, webinars, as the one today, training. We also collect case studies and prepare toolkits. We have different commission and task force focusing on different topics. And we have several programs as the one that we are focusing today, the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism. And also we do an important job of advocacy by writing policy position papers. And I'm very glad to introduce my colleague, Stefania Petrosilio, who is our policy officer in Brussels. And she's going to make the link between the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism and the EU policy for sustainable tourism. After, we will hear from Klemen Langus, who is the director of the Tourist Board Bohinj in Slovenia, and he's the coordinator of the Julian Alps destination, which is one of our sustainable destinations awarded with the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism. He's going to present the new development plan for this area in order to become a sustainable tourism destination for 2025 and beyond. So please, Stefania, the floor is yours.
So good morning again to everyone. I am Stefania Petrosillo, the Europark Policy Officer based in Brussels, and I will speak a little bit about the framework of the European tourism policy and how we can see the connection with the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism, that is the Europark program. And okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think okay, perfect.
Technology.
Sorry, technology. Even after 2 years of Zoom meetings, there is always something not working perfectly immediately. So few words about the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism is a management tool and a sort of certification that Europark created more than 20 years ago to support protected areas, to have, to develop tourism in a sustainable way in partnership with local public and private actors. So it's both a management tool and a sort of certification. The Charter has 5 main principles that all people participating in the methodology, in the process, accept to follow. The first one is to protect nature, but at the same time to contribute to sustainable development of the territory, to engage all stakeholders, to plan in an effective way the tourism in the area, and to work with a continuous improvement approach. Very, very quickly, the methodology is based on a Sustainable Tourism Forum. This is really the key of the Charter. We have the protected areas, all stakeholders involved, public and private, in tourism and in conservation. They work together to assess the situation of the territory, to reach a common vision, to identify a strategy, to prepare an action plan with different actions implemented by the different actors of the forum. And all this process is continuously monitoring, reviewed, with the support and evaluation of Europark. And a big part of the methodology is always also networking inside the territory and also between among the protected areas that are involved in the same sort of methodology. Another important aspect that is connected with the rest of my presentation is the list of key topics that the Charter asked to the protected areas and the stakeholders to take into account. What does it mean? It means that according to the local situation, according to the strategy, specific strategy of the territory, the actions have to take into account always protect landscape, supporting conservation through tourism, reduce carbon footprint, ensuring social cohesion, think about prosperity of the local communities, accessibility for all visitors, and so on. Okay, as we will see, the Charter already implement in practice something that are the new recommendations from the European Union. And now I will pass to explain, to present very shortly the situation of the tourism policy in Europe. The European Union tourism policy aims to maintain Europe standing as a leading destination while maximizing the industry's contribution to growth and employment, and promoting cooperation between European countries. A very, very important point to remember always is that until now, the competence of European Union in tourism is reduced because for the principle of subsidiarity, the tourism is something that is still in the power of the member states. And what the European Union can do until now is just to support and make a sort of coordination to implement the actions on member countries. Okay, so this is quite important to take into account. What happened in 2010? The European Commission adopted a communication. Europe, the #1 tourism destination in the world, a new political framework for tourism in Europe. That was a communication that set out a strategy and an action plan for EU tourism at that time, identified 4 priorities: stimulate competitiveness, promote sustainable, responsible, and high quality tourism, consolidate the Europe image abroad, and maximize the potential of financial policies for tourism. This is the strategy that is still ongoing. Of course, it has been monitored and updated over the time. But of course, from 2010 to update to today, a lot of things are happened. We all remember the period of the terrorism and international insecurity in Europe. We know that the concern on climate change have increased a lot. We have the European Green Deal. We had the pandemic, or we have still the pandemic of COVID-19, and of course we cannot not mention the impact of the Ukrainian war in the tourism. But I would like to focus now about the European Green Deal. I will not explain what European Green Deal is. I hope that you know, but remember that it's a new approach for all policies in Europe that have to take into account climate change and environment. And according to this new approach, the European Parliament last year published a new resolution called Establishing a New Strategy for Sustainable Tourism. And with this resolution, the Parliament encouraged all EU actors to work for a transition to sustainable, responsible, and smart tourism. Here I put the link. The resolution is in all languages. It's not difficult to read. It's a very common languages. So I recommend you to look for that, because it's very interesting to see which is the new approach in Europe. But there is something that I need, for not expert of policies and European law, there is something that I have to explain. The European Parliament's resolutions are political document. So the Parliament identify new recommendations and directions, political directions, to the Commission, and the Commission will implement after that in practice with the strategies, with the communication, with the funds, etc. So at this step, we will speak about this new political imaging that the European Parliament wants to promote about tourism. But it's very important because, of course, the recommendations of the European Parliament are very important for the development of the European policies. So the European Parliament underlined in its document that the tourism industry directly and indirectly employs 27 million of people. That means more than 11% of the total EU employment. The tourism has an impact on climate change of 8% on global CO2 emissions. And something very important for our parks is that the information at 2018, more than 50% of EU tourism accommodation establishments were in coastal and marine areas, and more than 30% were in rural areas. So you see a very, very important part of tourism is in areas that are connected with our work. The Parliament states that tourism should contribute to the conservation of biodiversity, social welfare, and economic security of local community. And like that, I can immediately remember as the second key topic of the Charter is that tourism should contribute to conservation of biodiversity. The Parliament reminds that the tourism sector is committed to meeting the aims of the European Green Deal, especially climate neutrality, and also underlines that the soft mobility is a new demand from consumers that desire a greener and closer to nature tourism opportunities. The Parliament highlights that it's necessary to develop policies for preserving natural heritage and biodiversity. Social cultural authenticity of host communities have to be protected, and socio-economic benefits to all stakeholders have to be guaranteed. And we remember all principles that we mentioned of the Charter. The Parliament asked to the Commission to create a new roadmap for sustainable tourism. This is something that we need to follow in the future very careful, also because the Member States will be invited to follow this roadmap and to use the next generation EU funds to finance this transition to a more sustainable tourism. The Parliament reminds that the COVID-19 pandemic has created a change in the travelers' demand, and this is something that all parks have experienced. People now ask more for nature and safe place to rest and to visit. And the European Parliament underlines as agrotourism, rural tourism, and ecotourism are an integral part of sustainable tourism. So they are very important in this approach. And for that, cooperation and coordination between stakeholders and greater involvement of local authorities are crucial, as well as marketing strategies. And these are absolutely the core of the Charter for Sustainable Tourism in protected areas, coordination and cooperation. Mobility for the European Parliament is absolutely crucial. There are a lot of articles reminding that it's important to work for a mobility more sustainable. Member States are invited to use the financial support from the European Union to increase investment in the transition for cleaner transport. And also they are invited to have modern, safe and sustainable transport infrastructure in general, especially of course common transport, especially to facilitate the regions, peripheral and remote areas, island, etc. So often it's a problem for parks to be accessible in a sustainable way and not with private cars. Finally, the Commission asked to pay particular attention to mountain regions, island, and insular and rural areas, so perfectly our areas. Remind that tourism is a part of rural and coastal and marine development, and so underline the connection with agriculture and with fishery. And this is also something that as Europark, we work a lot on that. And the connection between tourism and culture, gastronomy, so food, sport, health, etc. This is also absolutely in the core of the Charter and accessibility for all, both for people that have specific needs, but also for economical aspect. I put here the link for the guide for funding for tourism at European level. I think you will find a lot of important information. The presentation will be available after this webinar. And I will conclude with this imaging. So we really hope that conservation and tourism can be alive. Yes, we hope that, and we are working together to make green tourism real. Thank you, and I am open to all questions you want to ask me.
Thank you very much, Stefania. Yes, I have already a question. I understand that yes, this communication from the Parliament, they're insisting on soft mobility. But yes, how do you coordinate it with the protected area? Protected area, I mean, they don't have either the resources, they don't have the power political power to have a say on that. How do you, in your experience, or you have read, how this will come in reality?
Of course, this is a very good question. From the Brussels perspective, the answer will be in the communication of the Commission. So what the Commission will do after this recommendation of the Parliament, and probably they will put in their strategy some concrete actions to make these areas as parks really accessible. But because it's not something that European Union can do directly, what she can do is only to push member states at national, regional, local level to work on that direction. And for that, I think, and provide funds, of course, to support the transition. And for that, I think the Charter, again, is a good way. It's not only way, but it's a good way, because in the forum, parks, local stakeholders and authorities, local authorities, regional authorities sit together. So if for a park, mobility is a crucial point, that will be something that in the strategy and the action plan of the Charter will be absolutely taken into account, and some actions will be done.
Thank you very much. And there's no other questions in the chat. Please don't be shy. If you have questions, write them there in the chat.
If I can say, I know that sometimes people remain a little bit without a lot of questions clear, because policy is not something that usually we discuss about. But so don't be shy. Also, apparently simple questions are probably interesting and important for everyone. I hope that I was enough clear, but of course, if you are not working in policy, it can be sometimes a little bit difficult. So feel free.
And before I give the floor to Clement, just another comment or question. In your view also, since this all these policies is about tourism in general, what is the weight of the tourism in protected areas inside this? Because sometimes it's like a bit lost. I know that you mentioned that in rural areas and ecotourism, but
no, indeed, in this resolution, the Parliament doesn't mention specifically protected areas, but that will be definitely something that will appear, because every policy should be connected, and we know that the new strategy of biodiversity gives a big role of protected areas. So this is also something that we will, as Europark, we will work for that, but this is part definitely of the process. Something that maybe I can also add is that in the European Parliament push all actors at policy level to use more the little power that European Union has about tourism. So to work more, to push more on tourism, to create a new directorate focused on tourism, to have more money for tourism, and to push more member states to work with European Commission for tourism, for sustainable tourism. So I think that we can expect a new positive development in the future. We work for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefania, for your contribution. If anyone has another question, please feel free to write it there, and we have time, we can address it. And now it's my pleasure to give the floor to Klemen Langus from Slovenia.
Well, I'm very sorry to all the participants and a warm welcome from Bochum, a small municipality in the Julian Alps area. My name is, as said, Klemen Langus. I'm here local tourist board director, and also I'm coordinating for the last couple of years the Julian Alps Biosphere Reserve. I will tell you a little bit about our development plan and show you at the end some actually also some cases we did in the last years. First of all, yeah, I think it's all about finding the right balance between the nature conservation and the tourism in the area. And this is a hard work, and it's never ending work. So we have to find the balance in everyday basis, so to say. It's important that we have in our head. This is the area I'm representing. It's it's a quite big area, 805 square kilometers. This is the Biosphere Reserve in or region, more like I rather use this word region. In Slovenia, in southwestern part of Slovenia, bordering to Austria and Italy to the west, 10 municipalities, and the green, what you see, the green is the national park. It's actually the core of this region. It's the only national park in Slovenia. My municipality, where I'm based, is this one, Bochum, and as you see, 2/3 of this area lies within the only national park. So sustainable, or rather said, responsible tourism is for us kind of must, and I do hope we are doing this job. Well, this is the just to show you to see the image from the area is typical alpine landscape with valleys, villages, small villages, here the lake, and of course surrounded by the mountains. The second important thing is that we are also part of the first transboundary ecoregion in Europe, which includes also the Italian side. The park, it's the National Park Prealpe Giulie, or Julian Prealps, or Parco Naturale Prealpe Giulie. This park, national park, and our park.
Sorry, Clement, to interrupt you, but your slides are not passing. Are you passing your slides? Now, okay, because so now
yes.
Now we can see the second one. Okay.
Now see the third one. Okay, this is again this is the area. Once again, this is the area. Sorry. The area, typical alpine landscape with valleys, lakes, and surrounded by the mountains. And the third important thing of this area is that, as said, we are part of the first transboundary ecoregion in Europe. It's called the transboundary ecoregion, the Julian Alps, which includes, as already said, also the nature park Julian Prealps, or in Italian, the Parco Naturale Prealpe Giulie. The cooperation between these two protected areas, so the national park in Slovenia and the natural park in Italy, dates back in 1996. When the Italian park was first established. And as you know, the European community actually is forcing, how to say, the cross-border cooperation, which is of course very, very, very good. And different EU projects were established from the 1996 between the two protected areas, which supported the relationship. And then the idea of this transboundary park was born in 2007. And then in 2009, the transboundary ecoregion was awarded by the Europark transboundary certificate, and then also was re-evaluated then in 2014 and 2021. I see this of very important because you have to work together with not just national parks but also with the different communities in both countries in order to really bring a sustainable development on the best level. We work together very closely, as said, different EU projects, of course, nature protection, education, etc. And we are also will work and are already trying to work also in the tourism field. This is not maybe just a very common field of work. It's quite hard to work between the two countries in the frame of tourism, but we already have some activities in this field of tourism. Now, our national park is also responsible. The Julian National Park is responsible for managing the biosphere region of the Julian Alps. In 2015, they came to this idea that we need a common strategic plan of the area, which was very important step between the nature conservation on one side and the tourism development on the other side. There is sometimes still the gap is still too big between these two fields, and I find this idea of the Julian National Park of very importance. Then after 4 years of working together, different activities, especially developing tourism product at the time, then we actually felt actually that this is important that we continue with the new strategic plan, not just because of new strategic period, not just because of new challenges, that new roles actually of the destination management organization of the area, not just in Slovenia but around the world. Because the principle of the natural conservation and the cultural preservation actually entered the thinking of tourism development at the time. But then also the COVID happened, a new normality after COVID. We actually kind of, like I said, felt that okay, let's go and write down a new plan actually, which was just upgraded of the first one. It was very important at the time that we understood, as today even more, that we need to build in the area so-called the community-based tourism. I find these words very important. I heard the first time for these words community-based tourism like 20 years ago by my colleague from Scotland, and I didn't understand them at the time, but now I understand, and I think this is of the most important when you develop a responsible or sustainable tourism in the protected area, that you build on community, so community-based, so to say. Yeah, the purpose of this plan was, of course, we want to be sustainable tourism destination. Yeah, but the question is, everybody wants to be sustainable tourism destination nowadays. Everybody is sustainable tourism destination nowadays. So what extra should be written down, or would be our vision in the future? It was very important that we understand that this is not only short-term and our own interest to the forefront. It was very important that we are strongly codependent. We cannot do nothing on ourselves alone, totally alone. We have to find this balance in everyday life, like I said at the beginning of the presentation. And of course, the balanced growth in the area. The very important I find is also, and this is more or less to do with the policies in the area. I'm very thankful for the first introduction in the policies of Europe. Sometimes we are fed up with the different documents and theories, etc. Everything is just theory, not the praxis. But at the end, when managing the area like Julian Alps is, or the transboundary park is, you have to know which are the policies or documents, development, different documents in the area, in order to connect them as much as possible. And here, this is the slide I'm showing you. Of course, in the European Community, you begin with the operational program for the implementation of the EU cohesion policy. Then you have the different regional development programs. You have action plan, in our case, for Triglav National Park. Then, as you will see at the end, we have a Julian Alps integrated sustainable mobility strategy. You can have a strategy, mobility strategy for one part of the national park, but you cannot do the mobility very successful if you not cooperate with your neighbor, at least with your neighboring municipalities or your neighboring regions, even more, your neighboring countries. And of course, then this development plan of Julian Alps, and of course also the transboundary area, that which actually the charter for sustainable tourism of big and very important of the area. Now let me just show you how important is tourism for this area. Very important is the industry that is actually kind of helping, hopefully helping the Julian Alps, the local communities to build their lives here. It represents, in our case, 30% of all Slovenian tourism, but it's also causing challenges actually, or more likely say problems. I think seeing that tourism is important industry, we have to know that tourism is here only a guest, nothing else, a guest for 150 years. And if you compare this to the local communities, and you know that the people live here for more than 5,000 years, then you know that you should develop the community-based tourism. You should at least ask the local communities of their needs, and also their vision, how they see that you would like to develop this important industry. And of course, industry then can help you when developing the area, not just the tourism, of course. The problems here, let me just show you. We have 100% more tourism in the area in last 10 years, which is quite okay, but of course seasonality very strong. But on the other hand, we have 100% less farms in the area. So where is the balance here? So how can tourism help the agricultural to develop in the area? This is the gap that we would like to fill also with this development plan. It was very important that this would be strange to say, but because of the COVID, I think we changed our thinking of tourism in the area. So this was the positive side of this pandemic. I'm sorry to say this, but it's really been because of the COVID. We began to think a little bit different than we maybe used to think when developing, especially the tourism industry. And this is the consolidation phase where the COVID found us, and then of course it was the question how we are going to proceed. What is going to be our, so to say, new vision of the area? And then we came to this six of goals, so to say. Managing the seasonality is the question raising, not or the challenge, not just in Slovenia. I know that, you know, it's for me this is very important question. If there is 400 million of Europeans going on holiday between 10th of July until the end of August or maybe beginning of September, how can we manage the seasonality in a good way? You know, if you have this information in your head, then of course it's not easy to solve the question. Managing overload of the micro destinations. But Julian Alps is quite big area, but then the small part of the Julian Alps are targeting, also because the tourism is doing sometimes marketing not properly. You know, in our case, everybody should go on Mount Triglav, which is the highest mount in Slovenia, and also the kind of symbol of Slovenian people. But climbing Triglav sometimes in the main season time is not something that is a quality experience of tourism. Then of course managing, and this goes then together with the managing high expectation of visitors, because what we present as a tourism workers in different fairs and webinars, etc., we are selling the heaven on earth, but then it's not the case when the people are coming to the destination. Low price accommodation, like I said, there is a huge amount of accommodation in the last 10 years. So it's private rooms, apartments, because of the new tools like bookings, etc. All these platforms. Of course, everybody could be part of the tourism industry. But is dedication to the tourism from these owners of apartments really like it should be? So again, we are here with the quality. Of course, again, we are here with the climate changes, traveling regimes. Traveling is changing, and how we can address these new opportunities in the area. And of course, we need to understand how we will work together as small communities, and then as a regional communities, so to say. The new normality in the area. Okay, we have slow recovery. Everybody knows this about how it goes. We don't know what the autumn will bring, so we are always now a little bit nervous. Okay, let's bring a lot of tourists in the area, because in the autumn COVID will again emerge. So we have to earn a lot of money in these 2 months, and then if we are going to be closed again in autumn time. So again, thinking about this recurrent plan, changes in travel. Yeah, are we going to address now a new way of traveling? Are we going to encourage the public transportation when arriving into the Are we going to encourage the use of public transportation in the area we are managing? The globalization back to localization, new brands, local people should be included. We need to strengthen the awareness of the importance of the local character of authenticity is very important. The tourism is very important industry, but should never be should never carry the flag of the destination. Should always be on the second or third place, listening to the local communities of what they need, and then helping them with fulfilling these needs. Digitalization, of course, everybody is speaking now about the digitalization. And how are now on the other side, how are we going to measure these new challenges? Are we going again to count the overnight staying, the arrivals, etc., or is there something else? How can we measure the success of sustainable tourism destinations, which are going to be our new markets? And for example, we decided our markets for the next couple of years, or maybe longer, is going to be Europe. And within the Europe, we can then introduce more or arrivals by public transportation, not by planes, for example, if talking about the climate changes, etc. And of course, again, value of the area. How to set at higher prices in this beautiful protected areas. What is the price to be here? What is the price for parking place if I want to park in the central part of the national park? This shouldn't be a question anymore, because we are here to manage it, and we are here. And then if this is the case, then of course this should be also paid by our guests and tourists. Everything, all what we did during during this process of the new development plan, it was then also light with the national level of Slovenian tourism. So what we achieved, it's very important that we came from this development plan in 2016 to this vision. So the tourism should be a generator of sustainable changes and preserve the nature community, culture, and identity of the Julian Alps biosphere. This is very important. We are not speaking anymore about the overnight staying, about the numbers, but of generator of sustainable changes. Everything is on this kind of path. How we are going to change, not just as a tourist, but also as a local. So cooperation on the first place between different stakeholders in the area, in the region, and of course also transboundary cooperation, which is in our case done by this Charter of Sustainable Tourism. Very, very important again. Local community in the center. Yes, I know it's hard to do with the local community sometimes, but you have to. This is a word that it should be done. It was I tell you. 20 years ago, my colleague Ian Mitchell from Scotland came to our destination and said, "Clement, you should have wildflower festival, community-based." What is this wildflower festival? Of course, it's the something that you cherish the biodiversity of the area. But then when we drafted the program, one pager, we went to the local people, presenting them the idea, asking them what they think about it, and then after they say yes, we organized the wildflower festival. At the moment, there is wildflower festival here in Bochum going on, and it's a big bow to the people and to the nature. And of course, sustainability, responsible way, valorization of this, every step should be valorized in a way. Is this really a sustainable or responsible way? What we're doing. I will skip this. So the vision is, of course, the community, environment, guest, and at the end, economic effects. You should have it, of course. We need to live here. The local community should benefit from the tourism. But if you start on the community, then of course you cannot miss the clear vision. And as I said, you should ask the locals when you develop different new ideas. You should ask the important organization that are helping you with the environment, how to protect the environment. Nowadays, every destination in Europe or around the world will speak about the sustainable development. It's so used word, too much. So do we really listen to each other when protecting and when developing? It's something that this document really addresses. And of course, what the goals are: increase resilience and with this added value, reinforce tourism as a generator, not just somebody who is bringing the numbers in the area, and of course through this development contribute to the preserving the quality of the natural and social environment in the area. I don't want to be too long, so I will just skip this. I'll go to this slide, which is for me very, very important. When thinking, when you have this bunch of documents that you have to read, different policies, it's sometimes you're totally distressed. What shall I do? How shall I do this? Okay, Clement, what is this responsible tourism or sustainable tourism? I would rather speak about the living room concept. You know, when somebody, local community, for example, or me as a Clement, I equip my living room, my apartment, the way that I feel good in this apartment, in my living room. First of all, I'm on the first place. I buy the furniture I like. I paint the walls like I like. Everything I do like I like. And then I invite guests. I invite my friends. I invite people who will respect how I did equip my apartment. And usually when these guests are coming to you, at least this is in Slovenia, so they take their shoes off. They bring you maybe a present. So this is the concept of the invited guests. The tourist, the guest who will understand the rules I have in my apartment. And in this conversation, in beautiful evening time with a glass of wine and good local food, new ideas emerge, because I am enriched by maybe ideas of my friends, of the guests who are entering my apartment. They are enriched by my ideas, why I equipped my living room on this way, why I bought this kind of furniture, this kind of television, or this kind of why I choose the colors. So and because of this good conversation, new ideas emerge. So it's a win-win situation, but from the tourists, guests, and me as an owner. What this picture presents also is that when I need to equip my room, of course, I can do something on my own. These are the green blocks. This is something I can do in the destination also. But there is also something I don't know how to do it. I need plumber, I need blah blah, etc. So these are the blue blocks, and this is very important to understand that this is very important that you work with the different stakeholders in the area, and then it comes to this balance between the different organizations that are also managing the area and this is how if you put the picture of so the concept of the living room, respect from the tourists, and of course also from myself. We also did a presentation of potential development scenarios, and of course more or less we are here for the balanced one, slowed sustainable growth, with a lot of work to be done behind these words. But yes, like I said at the beginning, we need to find this balance between the different stakeholders. Level of the operation are quite are here presented. So the providers, destination management, and at the end we come to this governance, stewardship. There is even not the word in Slovene language for the moment of this word, but I find it very, very, very important. Governance, how we will lead this vision towards sustainable or responsible or a future of the living, of the concept of the living room. Important one to understand each role of the destination. Again, I will skip this.
Yeah, Clement, I think we need to be closing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just finish. Okay, Teresa.
Yeah.
1 minute. Harmonization with 5 objectives is very important. That you and our plan is harmonized with the European cohesion policies in order to of course for the finances of all this idea. And let me just finish. Sorry to be a little bit long, but it's very important to tell you. Everything is about if we will develop this kind of plan or bring this vision if we will change our habits. It's all about change the habits, change the world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Clement. I realize that it's still, of course, it's a vision, it's still a plan, very new, interesting ideas. of course, this one of generating sustainable change, of course, for the visitors that then they will export the change around Europe, around the world. This community-based tourism, I think, is also very, very important, no? from globalization to localization. And this has been highlighted really with this COVID pandemic, when we are rediscovering what we have in our surroundings. So more than ever, we need to take also into account our communities and our own, our land. And also very interesting, this living room concept. I hope you can somehow share with the audience here unless it's not easy, only written in Slovenian languages, but that this would be good if you could share at least a summary or something about this strategy that you are working on. And we will be very glad in 2 years when you have put it in place to see the real actions that this strategy is declining, how they are working. So thank you very much. Please. Sorry.
Teresa, I just have to say 2 words. Yes.
I mean,
because of the lack of our time, there is already going on different projects. I had this in the presentation at the end. I wanted to present it to you through 3 products we did that are answering the different questions from the development plan. First one is they are typical tourism products. The first one is long distance trail, Juliana Trail, that is answering the question of the local communities or local community needs. And also the question of the rising question of the visitor guidance in the natural park or the national park. The second one is the Juliana bike, which is answering the question of the design management of the area on the field of cycling tourism, how to approach when developing a cycling tourism in the area, together with the different stakeholders, landowners, etc. And the third one is this mobility plan for the whole region of the area of the Julian Alps. There is a big document on soft mobility for the future, which is answering the question of like Stefania said at the beginning, of the mobility issues in the area. So there are already cases which could be presented maybe in the next webinar that are following the development plan.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that you are already putting this in place. We have some, well, if you have 5 minutes, I can pose you some questions that arise in the chat. So Nicolas was asked, Netherlands from the Federation des Parcs Nationaux. He was asking about if you have any specific method to somehow monitor the biodiversity, nature conservation in a very popular site, when you have so many visitors.
We are now doing different projects together with the national park. We are measuring the different spots with how many tourists are in different trails or cyclers, etc. And at the moment we are working on there are different documents on carrying capacity of the area of small patch. For example, there is a big gorge here in the Julian Alps, and there is a carrying capacity already calculated. Different spots that are popular for outdoor tourism, for canyoning, for example. Also, a document on the carrying capacity already done. What we are doing now in my place in Bochum, we just ordered a document on carrying capacity for the little broader area, for the lake basin area. And this is kind of difficult question, how you measure the influences of all the users of the lake, for example, here, all the cyclers, hikers, all the people who are using the canoeing, etc. All this kind of outdoor activities, and we will try to measure this carrying capacity for the area, and then upon this we will have the argument why we decided that we will, for example, why there is a need for more public transportation in there, why there is a need that we have not 2,000 parking lots, but just maybe 500, etc. So this will be then again something that we will continue our work on.
Yeah, very much. Are you only concentrating on ecological carrying capacity, or also how you call perception carrying capacity among the people who can stand the spirit, the carrying capacity? So it's what kind of carrying capacity are you measuring? It's also only ecological one?
Everything,
Everything.
all of the ecological, economic one, and social one.
Yeah, okay. So Solvik from Sweden, she's asking, what if the guest that you're inviting into the living room is not respecting the rules?
It's what I'm sorry to say, what you do if somebody is not respecting the rules, if you're entering the plane or the bus or the train, you're thrown out of the plane, because there are different rules, and these rules are not applied that somebody stop his or her experience at the area, but the rules are here to follow in order that the quality life of the local community stays, and the quality of my experience will be on the highest level. It's so simple, at least from my perspective.
I was recently in another webinar, and I was really shocked about the comment that was said in the sense that some tourists that would behave in their protected areas from their own country, they would behave well. Whenever they go to other countries, which are their own, they just do not behave at all. And this is something we can see it at city levels, at least I can see it in Barcelona. But I was surprised that this was mentioned from protected areas in Eastern Europe, and I was really very amazed that they had this problem.
But that's why, at least for our case, we have this idea of living room concept. It's when you enter somebody else's home, you behave and you follow the rule that you have. If I'm invited to you, Teresa, or to Stefania, I will follow your rules in your home, etc. This is very important that we bring to the highest level as possible. So through the I saw the question, through the promotion, awareness raising, it's a work that cannot be done in just one season. For example, you have to work constantly for more years, every year actually.
Yeah, I think that we all of us and European Federation, we really need to work on this message of that we want to see a change. We need to change ourselves, and how we perceive things and how we behave, and this is we need to work
changing our habits. It's always for example, I decided I will travel only by train in Europe. It's my decision. I have to change my habits. No, and sometimes difficult, and it's a long journey, but it's my decision.
Okay, let's take this last question. So Mitch, this is a building still when we are talking, and then we will need to close. So she says, how do you want the guests to follow the rules?
Like I said, it's on promotion, on the way, awareness raising, communicating. Very good communication plan is very, very important, so that you explain them why this is forbidden, why this is allowed. So this all the way, and for this communication, every part of the local business should be part of it. Every owner of the apartment, everybody should communicate, and this is what came with this digitalization. Now it's very easy to have an apartment. You have your apartment on your booking platform. You don't even meet your customer. You don't even meet your guests. The keys are I don't know, or they open your apartment with the phone. So it's very important that we also educate the tourism businesses that they have to work with these invited guests. They had to accept them when they enter their living room, so to say.
In fact, this is one of the principles of the European Charter of Sustainable Tourism in protected areas, that we need to make the business who are partners of this charter to form them so that they communicate about all the values. So thank you very much. This gives me to a close. I hope we have more time, but this give this give us the opportunity to have a second webinar, perhaps in 1 year time, where we can discuss even further, maybe and with more results. It was very interesting. Thank you everyone for being here today. Please complete the form. You have time, it would only take you 1 minute. And this will help us to improve our webinars. Thank you very much and have a good morning today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, Stefania. Bye.
Bye.